Spotlight. I'm Kathy Costa, your host for today. We also have Bill Hannon co-hosting with me. Our guest, Gina, today. She's a fellow medium and card reader. So we're going to talk a little bit about how she got started, though. And the trance medium is relatively new from what I'm told. So that's an interesting journey that she's been having. So I was told that she's been doing card readings for more than 20 years. So she's obviously older than she looks, which is good because I am too. So Gina, let's talk about the card readings. So what got you first interested in the card readings?
So my mother did tarot card readings. And so of course, I see it all the time and I want my own deck. And she eventually did buy me my own deck. And I just started learning from there, really just working with the cards, studying the images, and really seeing how they sort of unfolded, in their meaning. Because of course there's the book meaning, which we're all used to, but as you work with them, they can sort of get more layers.
Yeah, and depending on what you're talking about too, what they could mean. It could mean two very different things, depending on the situation, I've learned. Yeah.
Exactly.
So what age did you actually start reading? When?
So I think I got my first deck when I was probably about 12 or 13, and then I may have gotten in trouble in high school a little bit because I would read in high school on occasion for people.
Sure.
And then I started reading at fairs in my mid-20s, and I used to do fair work.
Oh, that's good. Well, that's now you're saying, the difference between reading the meaning of the cards in a book and actually what you're actually picking up in information, and how you can interpret the layouts and stuff like that.
Exactly. It's, the cards shouldn't be the end-all, be-all. They should sort of help you focus and hone your own psychic energy.
The stimulation, the connection.
Yes.
And it's like an aid to help you connect, to give the answers to the people. Now, do you ever use the pictures on the cards, or you just mostly use the words and the numbers that's on them?
So that sort of depends on how I feel in the reading. So for instance, if I see, I'll see the number 8 3 times, there's an 8 of Wands, there's an 8 of Cups, there's an 8 of Swords. Then I also have to take into account this 8 is important because it's showed up multiple times now. Or if there's a lot of cards with smoke, that can also indicate something. I'll have to, sort of play with that. But usually sort of what my eye is drawn to on the card is usually the aspect that it wants me to hone in on, if you will. Yes.
So do you see like a common theme with questions though, or is it just like all over the place with everybody?
So love is of course a huge question, as well as money for most people. But I say usually people who find themselves in a seat across from me, they're in a big stage of transition. That's usually beyond love, that's usually beyond money. It's usually sort of a sense of self, career change, and they're feeling unsure. So I think every reader has a niche, because my mom tends to get more relationship sitters than I do. I tend to get, these people having a crisis of identity, if you will.
It's the vibrate you're resonating to, and you're picking up their vibration and how you're able to interpret what you're sensing, what you're feeling, that's going to give you the direction you want to head in.
Yeah. Exactly. And as I say, every time I do a fair, I always do, if I can help someone, please help them find their way to my table. If I'm not the right reader for them, please, help them find the right reader.
Absolutely.
Should they be here.
A great above the board approach.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because sometimes it doesn't always drive the right way though, but I mean, that's seldom these days though. It's very, very seldom. So do you ever give private readings, or just mostly just fairs that you work at?
Fairs, private readings. I've done sort of like tarot parties, small groups. But
too many is a lot.
Exactly.
Too many people is a lot.
It's a lot of people. It's a lot of time, and everybody has a lot of questions. So
Yes. So you're also beginning to learn a specific kind of mediumship, right?
Yes. So I started with mental mediumship, of course.
Well, what is mental mediumship?
Well, that would be considered the things like claircognizance, clairsentience.
Clairaudience?
Yes,
Yeah,
so
okay.
things that you can perceive, not like the slate boards
Right.
or the trumpets. That would
Right.
be more physical
Right,
mediumship.
gotcha, right.
Yes.
Okay.
So I started off with that, and then I decided to try trance mediumship, and it's really opened up very quickly and just a lot of things for me. So I'm very excited with
Yeah, I
it.
believe you also traveled to take classes.
Yeah, so I went to London. Here, trance mediumships are a little bit sparse,
Yeah.
if you will.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
right,
so I
right.
went over to England and
Well, I've
studied
actually,
over there.
some of our guests that we've had in the past have spent time over in
Yeah.
England and Ireland and Scotland
Yeah.
to pick up these vibrations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a college in London though that helps with a lot of this stuff as well though too.
I see.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how's it was earlier this year though, right? That had gone.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So I've been doing sort of some private lessons here, which is a little bit different because it's, 1 day a week here, 1 day a week there, and then I go to my basement because it's nice and dark and cool,
quiet, yeah.
and I do my trance work. But in the classes, we're in trance 7 days a week for, 5 or 6 hours
That's a lot.
a day.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of time in meditation, a lot of time in trance.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So you learned a lot when you went then.
Yes, definitely.
Was it just 1 week that you had gone, or was it a few weeks, a month?
I ended up going for 1 week.
Okay.
A lot of them are sort of weekend to sort of 1 week in the span of time.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Because a lot of times though we can't take a month off though from work. Yeah.
Right. If
Yeah.
only we could and
Right.
travel
Yeah.
and
Right.
just be
That'd
in
be a nice
classes all
luxury.
the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So have you incorporated that into the fairs or private readings yet?
So it's sort of coming out in hints in the private readings because it sort of deepens your connections with your guides as well, since a lot of times your guides are speaking through you. So I have a philosopher who's also a psychologist, and sometimes he pokes his heads up and he's like, oh, this is what's going on right now. And so I'll sort of have these moments where I must look sort of dumbstruck or something because it's sort of like a smack in the face, like, oh, okay, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And I do have a doctor, so sometimes I do trance healing, and he
That's
sort of
interesting.
steps forward, yes.
So how does that work with the trance healing?
So usually that's a deeper state of trance, probably because you don't need to do speaking. Speaking requires just a hair above, so you can sort of help them with moving your mouth and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you can get into a deeper sort of trance state, and you can do trance healing, like this, sort of one-on-one. You can do distance trance healing, and so usually my guide takes the wheel and he's really reworking the energy. I'm a very passive participant
Right. That's what
in all this.
I was wondering actually how the energy came through you into the person's field that you're working on.
Yeah, so you can do by touch, so you can touch a shoulder,
Right.
or a hand or
Sure.
whatnot. And like I said, with the distance. But I think it's sort of like Reiki, right, where some people feel it instantaneously and some people are like,
Right.
oh, they sort of move their hands and there might have been something going on, but I'm not sure.
Right.
Because I can feel the energy flowing through
Right.
my hand.
Right.
Of course, how the other person perceives it is
Might be different.
yeah, someone
Yeah,
said it's like you turn
absolutely.
on all the light switches and all of a sudden everything's just like,
Right,
it turns on.
right. Well, again, that's that like I mentioned before, the frequency that they're resonating at, and the frequency that you're resonating at, and the energy moving through you into the person. They may not be in sync with what you're doing, and they may not be aware of it
Yeah.
so much, but it can still be going down through the physical body,
Yeah.
making the adjustments and adjusting the frequencies and whatnot to help your body respond to resonate at a better frequency, so you're healthier.
Yes, and a lot of times people say trance healing is healing up to sort of 3 days after the initial trance healing.
That's
Yeah, I was
interesting.
wondering if I got any feedback yet on that, though, yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes 3 days.
Yeah, so sometimes sort of 3 days that energy, can sort of be adjusting because it is tough to, adjust energy very, quickly in general.
Sure.
Yeah,
But,
short times,
that-
though, and
So,
failure.
so then, while a person's sleeping, do you think some of this healing is speeding up? Maybe when there's no consciousness involved with how the body may be regenerating or rehealing itself?
So I believe that can definitely be part of it because sometimes we put our humanness, as I say, too far in the front.
Right.
And our, when our excitation's like, oh, this still hurts or whatnot. And sometimes
That
it's
could
just,
probably, even impede the healing if you get your head into too much.
Exactly. So I think, with the sleeping, you're out of your head.
Right.
And your body in general is usually more relaxed as well.
Right.
So,
Very good.
that probably does definitely help. And rest always helps.
Sure.
Yeah, so sometimes do people feel better like almost immediately after the healing? I know sometimes it takes a few days, but
So I think they can definitely feel better after the healing. It's not something that I would say is, the immediate 100% cure. But even when I receive trance healing, it's like, I can sort of feel stiffness from my back or stiffness from my shoulders.
Right.
You can sort of feel it starting to drain away a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, at least in the immediate, a lot of people actually do feel relaxed. They actually do if something was weighing on them.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little bit lighter, and I think part of that is oftentimes I feel like most of us have multiple guides, and so we all have healing
Oh,
guides.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
so part of that I think is just they're working with your healing guides as well to, sort of help
All right,
add extra
so
energy.
let's look at it from a different vibration. You mentioned the guides. Guides are a big part. They come in with us, they leave with us. And like you said, there's probably more than one guide, obviously.
Yeah.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. What about the frequency of angels? Do they come through and work with you as well, or?
So I haven't had an angel yet. So I've had the joy guy who is a child and is a little bit of a higher frequency because joy is a very excitable energy. And I've had some people who have family members who have passed who have sort of stepped in a little bit. And so there are people though who do channel angels in and who can bring them forward.
Right.
And so I imagine that is probably a very intense vibration, sort of energy-wise.
Right.
Because even Joy, who's not an angel, who's just a higher frequency, I can feel her sort of skyrocketing the energy a little bit. And it takes me a little bit longer to come back from trance if she has been there.
Right. So I imagine also, some of the people that have success dealing with chronic illnesses such as cancers and whatnot, they actually do good when they are able to relax and laugh and watch comedies and things back from the days like Laurel and Hardy or things like this, that slapstick humor that just kind of breaks people out of their mundane down, steps up their vibration. If they work with joy or something like that too, that's
well, we know that laughter is a good healing too as well too. So like for anything, so that definitely helps.
Exactly, and that's sort of on that joy wavelength. Only because when she comes in, she's always talking about doing things that make you happy, even if it's just buying only because I used to have one of those old McDonald's toys.
Happy Meals.
Exactly. There was one I used to like, and just I would look up at her, and so it's even just sort of simple things that you enjoy. If you dance horribly, but you enjoy it, just moving the furniture out of the way and dancing. And so definitely because the joy is closer to sort of that divine and that healing vibration. Yes.
Now, so just want to talk about the trans medium again, if you don't mind. So is it just your guys that come through the trans, though, or is it like loved ones that might come through?
So typically when I'm sort of transing by myself, it is guides and loved ones I have known. I have tranced in other people's loved ones.
Okay.
And I have tranced in other people's guides.
Oh, okay.
So you can definitely trance other people's inner circle, I guess,
Okay.
if that is your intention, you can do that, yes.
Oh, okay.
And it's definitely a little bit of a different vibration if it's a loved one who has passed. It's sort of a lighter vibration. You don't need to go as deep versus for guides, you usually have to go into a deeper trance state.
Yeah, because they're lighter energy,
Yes.
So for the fairs, though, and the private readings, though, have you been requested to do a lot of those, or not yet?
So more fairs.
Okay.
I guess I have a good fair energy, if you will.
Yeah.
I do enjoy doing private readings. I've done right now mostly sort of on Zoom. It's a little bit easier, I think, for most people.
Yeah, this day and age, yeah.
Exactly, and I used to live in Washington and whatnot, so I've accumulated some people from various parts of the country, if you will, who enjoy getting readings. So the great thing about technology is, now you can reach more people.
Right.
But the drawback is, sometimes it's connected with those around you. So
Well, so you say Washington, is it Washington State?
State, yeah.
Yeah.
So I used to
Right.
live out there for a little bit.
Right. Well, there's a good energy out there.
Yes.
I mean, you got a lot of, it's basically like a temperate rainforest type of thing where I know there's a lot of animal spirits and spirits that have to do with water and things like that, because there's a lot of water and rivers and stuff like that, and sprites and things of that nature.
Yes, so I think it was a little bit more popular out there because I was the East Coast kid and I had gone out there and they're like, your energy's a little different. It's not, it's spiritual, but it's not exactly this, type of energy. And I was like,
different
the more relaxed energy out there, though,
Yeah, and I think I have a little bit more of that race car, energy.
Compared to the rest of the country,
Yeah, so I'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm from Boston, so if I'm reading too fast, just tell me to slow down. But I usually have a lot to say, so I tend to just keep talking fast. But if you need me to slow down, just let me know. Yes.
Yeah, so it's nice that you've been doing this for a while, though. Do you see yourself teaching either aspect, though, at some point?
I used to teach, again, when I was out in Washington, I was at a place, and I used to teach tarot cards. And again, numbers as well, the numerology that's connected to them, and really meditating with them and making them your own. And, as I work with this, I would really love to eventually move to trance mediumship teaching. I thoroughly enjoy it. I know some people don't because it's I call it a controlled surrender.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to be willing to
I have a hard time with that. Though. I know we discussed that, though, before we started recording. But it's just, that's one thing I cannot do, though. I just can't. I tried. I couldn't do it.
Yes.
Yeah, so,
and as I say, there's, trance mediumship helps with a deeper connection with many things.
Yeah.
And you can do trance speaking, but that sort of public speaking, you don't need to be in trance to do inspirational public speaking. And some guides like to show their own evidential mediumship hand and do evidential mediumship when they're trancing. But you can do that without going into trance. So, but if nothing else, I feel it has deepened the connection in how I work with spirit and my mediumship and my psychic work, so I enjoy it very much.
Does it ever, I guess you could say collide? Like, do you do transmediumship and then a little bit of psychic though too, and then go back to transmedium? Has that ever happened where it goes into both?
So sometimes they will peak their head is a little bit,
Just in that regard,
and or different guides do different things. So depending, because I've noticed if they do evidential mediumship, they sort of pop me a little bit more up, and they will do mediumship or some psychic work, and it just brings me out of a slightly into a different sort of altered state, if you will. But I'm sort of always in a trance if
Okay.
they are doing
Doing that stuff,
all
yeah.
of those things. They've on occasion. Midway through speaking, someone else decides to come through, and all of a sudden I hear my guide say one moment, and then there's I
new
can
one
tell.
coming in, yeah.
Exactly.
Now, do you remember when you come back though out of the trance? What happened during the session?
So I sort of say it's like a dream, so I remember some things.
Okay.
But not all things. And usually the longer it's been since I've been in that state, it sort of
It's like
disappears.
fuzzy.
Yes. Or like sometimes I'll remember some very specific words or a very specific feeling that they had during it.
Do you have a recorder or something like that as a tool to help you remember?
Yes, so
Okay.
I do record my
Right.
sessions. I do have a timer, but usually they're very good about taking you out of trance
Sure.
before your timer goes off, because that could be jarring.
Yep.
And so I do record it. Usually I don't play it back right away. I'll usually play it back a day or two later
Let
to
it-
just...
let it assimilate a
Yeah.
little bit before you listen to it again.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Because plus two, sometimes when you get out of trance, your head's a little in the clouds yourself, depending how deep in the altered state you were. Because one day I was sort of walking my head, like it was a really, really bad day for it. My husband's just like, what is happening with you? I'm just like, they're just having a field day right now, and I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah. So sometimes it takes you a little bit to get grounded though from that though.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The deeper the trance state, the
longer it takes. Yeah, to come
exactly.
out.
Or if you come out of it very quickly, which usually you don't, but if you're in a public space, that can of course
Is this
sort of
is
happen.
this similar to a state like Edgar Casey used to go into?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now it just gave me a little
Connecting,
bit
yeah.
of more of an understanding as
Yeah.
to how deep, because a lot of the stuff, I mean, basically his wife or his secretary are the ones who actually guided everything because, he didn't remember anything for the most part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So you do sort of go under. Sometimes you'll notice things shifting.
Right.
And it depends on the spirit that passed.
Do you feel the energy entering you, or does it just go through you?
So everyone's a little bit different in trance.
Okay.
So for me, it's almost like I become the person in the back seat of the car.
Okay.
And they're sort of in the front.
Okay.
And I'm aware they're there.
Right.
And I can feel, I can sort of feel when they settle in your body, if you will.
Right.
And so I am aware that things are happening, and sometimes I become aware of movements because
Sure.
they'll do different hand movements,
Okay.
or they'll lean a certain way, or they sort of change your countenance a little in the face,
Right.
depending.
I got to say, this has been an interesting discussion. I'm glad, I was able to sit in on this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Have you read any of Edward Casey's books or articles?
I've read them a long time ago.
Okay.
I actually
Sure.
need to, go back and
Same
read
here.
them.
Probably
Yeah.
50
Now, is-
years ago when I read them.
Yeah, no, it's been around. These books have been around for a while.
Yeah.
So, is that how you got interested in trans mediumship, or is this one of those things that just kind of went with the flow?
So I was working with another medium because I wanted to just strengthen my own evidential mediumship.
Okay.
And they have experience doing trance mediumship as well. And they said, I think you'd be really good at it if you wanted to give it a try. And so, I'm like, what? Why not try it, right? What's the worst that happens? You go, running, screaming into the night, and you never do it again.
Yeah.
But so I gave it a shot, and I really just ended up enjoying it. It's a very tranquil energy because, as you know, for mediumship, you have to be in a sort of calm, receiving energy. So it's almost tranquil, one step.
It's almost like a little bit more intense version of that, though. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because if you get too anxious or too nervous, so you won't be able to connect well enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, just too much in your own head, that won't work. Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes. Because even now, if I'm in my own head, I can feel it more now than I could before I started trance mediumship. Now I'm like, we're really in our head, and I can feel them. They're like, get out of your head, get out of your head. We want to
Yeah.
talk for a few minutes.
Right.
Do you ever use crystals to kind of ground yourself after a session?
So I use crystals to help, which is the ones that I'm using
Yeah.
today, sort of help me go up. And then usually at the end of the day, I
That's
do more
useful.
stuff with crystals, and I usually use a lot with scents, so incense.
Okay, so that helps you ground at the end of the day.
Yes, exactly.
What about cleansing? I mean, do you like selenite or any type of stones that you use to? I mean, I'm just asking, is this something that you would do to put yourself or to prepare yourself for this type of work?
Yes, so usually Florida water is a big one
Okay.
that I use. I'm a little bit bigger of a scent person.
Sure,
so,
sure, sure.
Palo Santo.
Oh, yeah.
use.
That's nice.
You know, I do tend to keep in general smoky quartz.
I like the black opium. You know, the incense.
Check it out. Yes. Yes.
I mean, it doesn't smell like opium. It's just
It's just the name of it.
Yeah.
just the
it
name
is
of
the
it,
name,
but
yeah.
it's like the Palo Alto. You know, it's got a very heady scent to it that just kind of pulls you in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, you know, so I use those, and just in general, you know, I do keep the smoky quartz.
Yeah.
So.
So do you notice a difference when you don't use these, like the incense or the crystals to ground, or when you sleep, than when you get up the next morning?
So I will know it more or notice it more if I don't do the incense and the sort of scent stuff.
Okay.
Right.
You know, just I don't know why that's the connection, and some of us have
Sure.
you know
Yeah.
more connections
Sure.
to smells and crystals and whatnot.
Sure.
So I notice it more with that. But usually when I come out of trance, I really try and sit in my body for 2 or 3 minutes before I even stand up.
Oh, yeah.
And start moving around.
Have you actually fallen over though if you got too quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not, and I don't think I've witnessed anyone that.
Okay.
I've fallen over.
Yet.
I'm not even in a trance. You know, I'm just, but I'm just wondering now. Do you invoke angelic? Well, like before you go to sleep, do you ask for help before you go to sleep to help you integrate more information or more awareness? Just basically help you grow in your field.
So I do. I also ask them to sort of limit it, only because sometimes they can download a lot of
Okay.
information
Yeah.
all night if they, if they can have their way
Oh,
on
sure.
Explain
occasion.
that a little bit, with the downloading of information when you sleep, and let's go into that a little bit. What does that mean exactly?
So for me, it usually means I'm waking up more tired. Like you have one of those dreams where you're doing a lot of work and you're almost
Sure.
like waking up more tired than
Sure.
when you went to sleep. And
Right.
it's almost like a very busy night
Right.
that you don't
Yeah,
normally
kind of like dreaming too much, almost. Yeah.
Exactly. And so
Right.
I'll usually say, let's do 2 or 3 hours, then after that, we're letting me
Get the
just
rest, yeah.
sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Good.
Yeah, because we have to take care of our bodies though too.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Right.
just that balance there that's necessary though, for sure.
Yes. Always have to take care of ourselves and give time for our own nurturing
Yeah.
and own care. Because even though I love it, I only tend to do it like 3 or 4 days a week going into trance.
Sure,
Because
sure,
it would
sure.
just be a lot of energy otherwise.
Yeah. Right.
And some people do the work every day, but for me, I need a little bit of rest in
Yeah.
between. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to live our life sometimes though to take care of that stuff though too.
Exactly.
Sometimes just finding the right balance that works though. So, do you ever do the trance medium for yourself on a regular basis, and the cards though for a regular basis on yourself though? If you need like a little bit extra guidance, or any thoughts from them?
So sometimes when I'm doing the trance mediumship sort of just for myself and recording it, I will occasionally pull out an oracle card.
Okay.
And those are just one word.
Right.
Yeah.
And the guides will come in and they'll just speak on that one word, and I can take a lot of the stuff, and so sometimes they get their way if I'm not exactly listening to them like they like.
They can be persistent, though. Yeah.
Exactly. They're
Yeah.
determined and persistent. So,
Especially when they're telling you to do what you need to be doing, and you still don't do it, even though you've been told like 5 times the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. They can be quite insistent, though. But I mean, we know that we need to listen to them, though, because they see the whole picture. We want to see bits and pieces of it, though, on this side.
So are you looking for more people to be interested in you and get in touch with you or something like that? Is there a name or, I mean...
Gina Fallas.
Yeah. How do you say that? Fallas?
Fallas, yeah. And so you can sort of look me up. I'm located on the South Shore of Massachusetts, but I
Yeah.
find myself in many places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely
Now-
travel with this work, though. Yeah.
Exactly.
And also, I mean, it doesn't always carry very well sometimes over